Payback 2023 is just around the corner, and when the show got announced, all of us collectively went, "Oh, that's the show where Roman won his Universal title back in 2020. I can't wait to see what he's doing at the show. Maybe that'll be the one where he drops the belt. Sounds narratively neat. Maybe even to Jey Uso. I mean, why else would they pick Payback as the show? There's got to be a reason. Right? Well, as of the time of writing, which is before SmackDown, there's currently 0 Bloodline presence scheduled for the show, which is a choice. But hey, maybe this can release the chokehold over the roster that everyone's been complaining about, and we can finally get the spotlight onto some of the other long-requested matches and stories. There's certainly potential to put on some special things here, so let's fantasy book it, shall we? I'm Quinnell from WrestleTalk, and here are 10 fantasy booking pitches for WWE Payback 2023. Number 1. Give the Gable vs. Gunther match like 20 hours. Okay, obviously I'm not being literal with the match time here, though I'd still watch it, but there are few finer wrestlers in the game today than Chad Gable and Gunther. Their own body of work proves that in spades, and the 2 times they faced off only amplify how good these guys are. While Gunther already has plenty of classics to point towards, Gable's ability to still consistently put on great matches even when he's placed in that comedy box is truly impressive. I mean, look no further than the Viking Rules match that had no right being as great as it was. So why not just go all out and give the Ring General and the Master a chance to just tear the house down? Realistically, a rather low-stakes B-level PLE like Payback is the only time for a 20 or 30-minute show stealer, because we all know it takes at least that amount of time for Roman Reigns to even get to the ring on shows he's featured on. While Gunther should really get another win at Payback, an inch closer to the all-time record, I'm all for an eventual pay-per-view trilogy where Gable becomes the one to dethrone the Austrian. He, perhaps more than anyone on the roster, has earned it. Number 2. Finish Becky versus Trish. I truly can't believe that we are still here talking about Trish Stratus 6 months on from when this latest run began in late February. We well and truly have been spoiled by the continued presence of the 7-time women's champion. However, of that 6 months, 100% of it has included Becky Lynch, coming back to WWE as an ally of the man, and of course shortly thereafter turning on her and proceeding in a singles feud after WrestleMania 39. While I do feel WWE managed to do a good job at preventing the feud becoming stale by adding both into Money in the Bank, etc., it's certainly beginning to overstay its welcome a bit. Now, it's worth noting that if SummerSlam didn't get hit with all those time constraints, then this rivalry would likely already be done. Maybe. So it's maybe harsh to criticize this too much. However, one thing that must be said is that the feud needs to end at Payback. For one, it's a cage match, a definitive grudge-solving match type. And secondly, it'd be nice to see Lynch, and maybe Trish if she stays, move on to other things, such as Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley, for example. So yeah, no shenanigans, no screwiness like the last final match. Let's actually rubber stamp this and have a definitive winner and move on. Number 3. Shinsuke Nakamura wins the world title. Genuinely, why the hell not, WWE? While many thought that Shin was too damaged, by Vince Creative, for a main event push, we have truly been proven wrong by the King of Strong Style's recent run. He's badass, he's doing promos in Japanese, he looks like a threat. And so he should. This is the same Shinsuke Nakamura who was an icon in New Japan Pro Wrestling, putting on bona fide classics with AJ Styles, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, Kazuchika Okada. Where has that Shinsuke been since he left NXT in 2017? WWE's handling of Nakamura, particularly early on in his main roster run, was pretty diabolical. The whole Jinder thing with the racist promos was bad, but turning what should have been a career-making WWE title program with AJ Styles exclusively centered on nut punching was just very Vince. But hey, that's why it's time to right those wrongs. Besides, Seth hasn't done a whole lot with the title aside from stir the Judgment Day's pot. Please, WWE, don't do what you did with Finn and pass up the best opportunity to give a well-deserved push to a long underutilized star. Shinsuke deserves this. Just give it a shot. Seth ain't going anywhere. Take the plunge and mix things up. Number 4. Jey vs. Jimmy begins. In what was originally presumed to end up being the main event of Payback, the brotherly war between Jimmy and Jey Uso looks to be stretched out much further down the road. And by further down the road, I mean all the way to the end of the road at WrestleMania 40. While Jimmy vs. Jey does make for a Mania-level match, WWE started this off way too early for that to be feasible. I know this is the Bloodline we're talking about, and long-term storytelling and all that jazz is what they do, but surely, even that would be too far far. With Jay joining the WWE alumni page and Jimmy, Roman, and Solo all off SmackDown last week, it seems like Payback is set to be the first PLE in forever to have zero bloodline presence. While some may like that prospect, it really shouldn't be that way. Why not instead use Payback to stage the true beginnings of Jay and Jimmy's program? There's Fastlane, Crown Jewel, and Survivor Series still to come in 2023, plenty of time to build something special. Hey, you could even have a one-on-one match with Jimmy and Jay at Fastlane or Crown Jewel, then eventually a brother versus brother versus brother match at Survivor Series involving Solo. Regardless, just don't sit on this too long, WWE, unless you plan on sending Jay to the Indies, because actually that'd be rad. Number 5. Santos Escobar turns. Despite Santos Escobar idolizing Rey Mysterio, no man can be taken out of the biggest match of your career, be replaced by said idol, and not be more than a little jealous. This is about as clear-cut a motivation for a heel turn you're ever likely to see. Santos needs to snap, and he should do so at Payback. Now, whether Rey faces Theory or Santos himself on September 2nd, the turn must come. If it's Theory, have Rey get the win, perhaps even with the aid of Santos, and then boom, kick him in the nuts. If it's an all LWO affair at Payback, on the other hand, then have Rey win in a respectful contest with a particularly sneaky roll-up, so sneaky in fact that it drives Santos to lose his cool and lash out. This then leads to a rematch and a nice, well-needed top angle for the US Championship. What a Santos turn would mean for the LWO is another debate entirely. While it would make sense for Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Zelina Vega to side with Santos given their Legado del Fantasma history, perhaps WWE can initially pull the wool over our eyes and have them side with Rey, only for another turn to come later down the line. Number 6. Drew McIntyre turns. During Drew McIntyre's absence from WWE TV, it was reported that the Scottish Warrior was holding out for better creative plans before making his return. And yes, while a match with Gunther was certainly a good enough reason to return, I wonder if a tag team with Matt Riddle was also a part of WWE's creative roadmap pitched to Drew. If it was, then fair play, maybe Drew enjoys it and maybe the Glass Bros will catch on and it'll all be worth it. But right now anyway, it seems like Drew would have probably been better served staying off TV. But all of my negative sentiment can be wiped away with one oh-so-simple move. Turn the big boy heel. After the last entry, that may just seem like my answer to everything, but come on, what is Drew's current trajectory? A tag title shot? Comedy segments? Nah! With a simple turn, Drew can immediately set himself on a path to regain a world title in WWE, especially if Seth remains champion. It makes perfect sense. Also, fans have been waiting on someone to turn on Riddle for years at this point, and if it can't be Randy, then it will have to be Big Daddy Claymore. Number 7. JD adds JD. Poor JD McDonough. Truly trying his best to get into the Judgment Day's good graces, but nobody bar Finn seems to be having any of it. So why not just have Finn take the plunge and officially add JD into JD, and in turn add an extra level of dissension into the group? I mean, Finn and Priest are heading for a war at some point anyway, why not push those buttons a little more? It'd make for some great TV. You could easily tell the story of Ripley and Dom being individually won over by McDonough over time. Perhaps he helps them retain their respective titles or something, either at Payback or in the lead up to the show, leading Priest the only one not to take a liking to the Irish Ace. This then makes Priest feel almost ganged up on and further plays into the infighting between he and Balor, leading to an eventual massive blow-up that sees one of the two permanently ousted from the group. Regardless, this story has way more to give, and adding McDonough into the fold would add significantly to the tale WWE are telling. Number 8. Io wins a 4-way. While it's unclear how WWE plans to accommodate the overwhelming amount of star power in their SmackDown Women's division at Payback, one thing is for sure, Io Sky needs a big win. You see, oftentimes a Mr. or Ms. Money in the Bank can be painted as a bit of a fluke after capturing their world title, particularly if they're a heel, but not this time. Io Sky is too good to be pigeonholed into the cowardly champion spot. Sure, she is a heel, so the odd win courtesy of Bayley is fine, but I reckon in order to truly establish that this is now Sky's division, she needs a suitably massive and decisive win. While WWE could drip feed Io the aforementioned stacked roster of Asuka, Bianca Belair, and Charlotte one by one, why not instead just throw her to the wolves and leave all doubts regarding her legitimacy behind in an instant? Now, we did just see a 3-way at SummerSlam, but the added dimension of Sky and perhaps a very loud Bayley at ringside would be enough to make it feel fresh. And also, we can do it without any C4 energy plugs this time. Even better. Also, Io never wins. Her last 3 singles matches before winning the women's title saw her lose to Charlotte and Zelina Vega twice. She needs a win. Number 9. Give Cody a feud. Cody has been completely spinning his wheels since SummerSlam, essentially being buds with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and that's about it. He needs to enter another singles feud, a meaningful one. He can appear on the show just to say hi to the fans or whatever, but that's when someone should interrupt him, attack him, or something else to kickstart this feud in high gear. It could be someone who needs a more high-profile feud and could look good in defeat, like a Bronson Reed. It could already be a huge star that would be a big feud right off the bat, like maybe Gunther after he's beaten Gable earlier in the night. Or it could be a cross-brand feud where a new group is asserting their dominance and stacking the odds against Cody, like, I don't know, maybe Bobby Lashley's new group with the Street Profits? Maybe. I think there's a few avenues to go down here, but I think one of them does need to start sooner rather than later, as Cody is becoming something of an afterthought on Raw. A very super popular afterthought, that is. And number 10, John Cena asked for a WrestleMania for that city. I mean, it'd be funny though, wouldn't it? And that's our list. How would you book Payback 2023? Let us know in the comments, subscribe and like the video, and why not check out last week's list while you're here? 5 reasons why AEW should fire CM Punk and 5 reasons why they shouldn't. I've been Pete Quinnell, jam that jam.
It was different. So let's talk about it. Here are 5 reasons why CM Punk should be fired from AEW and 5 why he shouldn't.